Good morning, Deed Grabbers. It's Thursday. It's time for Goat Talk. Goat Talk is our weekly Facebook Live. Today we're talking about direct mail as more and more sellers are realizing that maybe the music has stopped. They're more motivated to talk to you. Direct mail's always been a great way uh, to get sellers for properties. So we don't do a whole bunch of direct mail, but when we do, we use this service that we're going to feature for you today. So if you guys are interested in direct mail, you got questions about it, today's the day. We'll be back in 45 seconds. Morning, sub-tours. Welcome to this episode of Goat Talk. Goat Talk's our weekly Facebook Live. If you're joining us on Facebook, maybe you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We release several videos each and every week about real estate investing, something to help you with subject to creative finance and all of those things. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. You won't miss a single video. And maybe you're new to creative finance. Maybe you're a wholesaler. You're checking it out, what all this stuff we're talking about is about cash flow, cash now, cash flow, cash later. But you're not sure you want to get involved with it. Check us out at the most affordable creative finance training on the planet. That's at $7coaching.com. I guarantee you won't find a better deal on creative finance anywhere. $7. We'll answer all your questions. We'll teach you how to buy all the houses you want with no banks, no cash, no loans, none of that stuff. So check us out over there at $7 Coaching. Guys, we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. I am not going to waste any time. Tell us good morning. Tell us where you are. We'll say hello to you. We're going to get started. We're bringing in my buddy Andy Detwiler from Print Genie. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Good, William. Thanks for having me on the show today. I love it.
Love having you here. Listen, man, it's early over there for you. You're over there on the West Coast, aren't you?
Yeah, and it's a good day out too. I have family in town, so it's a beach day today.
Okay, awesome. Well, listen, the format's going to be a little bit different today, guys. Andy runs a direct mail service. It's just amazing. I heard about this over a year ago and reached out to Andy and talked to him. And he's got the lowest cost mailing around. So if you want to do direct mail, it won't cost you an arm and a leg. He's definitely the guy you want to talk to. But he's going to actually do a presentation for us this morning where he's going to showcase his product, how it works, all the features, which a driving app, gosh, do all your stuff online. It's just amazing. I'm not going to try to tell you about it. I'm going to let the master tell you. So, Andy, let's get going. Tell us all about your product and what you do.
Thank you for that. Okay, so I have been around a while. Without giving you a long story, 20 some years ago, we built print on demand, the ability to edit a document, send it to a printer, and that was revolutionary at the time. And over the course of that time, right around 2003, we started working with a large coaching company, and their idea was really magical. It was really to take the content of what they're good at, what it should say, the call to actions, the copywriting, and the design, and they wanted us to put it on our platform for their users to have access to. That became the staple of our business, and it makes perfect sense. Guys like you who coach a specific way is more than I'm going to ever understand. That's why people go to you to give, acknowledge, to understand knowledge and education about whatever you're doing, buying, selling, whether you're an investor or otherwise. So what we did was we took our direct mail component, we took their content, we put it together into an editable document, letters and postcards that any user can access and order. That was the magic. And that's still become the magic all these years. 24 years ago is when we started. About 4 years ago, we took what we've learned, and that's a 500 million pieces of mail later, and started building what we're calling now Print Genie. And it's really what all that we've learned over all these years about what works and what doesn't work and why. And then at that, some 20 some years later, we have the resources to do this type of thing. So it's been a 4-year undertaking. And anyway, so that's what I wanted to present to you today. That's who we are and what I am. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. All right. You want me to jump in? I can share a screen and kind of give you some eyeballs on it. So, okay. So let me jump in there. Can you see that okay?
Yeah. Sure
Yep.
can.
Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go through kind of and I think this gives you a better understanding of what we're doing, right? And it's maybe 10 minutes or something, but it gives you a great perspective from my perspective on understanding direct response marketing, right? So as I kind of go through this, I'll go through rather quickly, but there is a way for you to get the ebook afterwards. But here we are with Print Genie, multiple, and if you look at it, the tagline really says it all: multi-channel campaigns made simple. And that's really the premise of why we built this thing we call Print Genie. And you'll notice we call it Print Genie, not like REI Genie or anything, because as it turns out, not just investors need to do direct response marketing, right? So it's really anybody that needs the ability or has to have the ability or would like the ability to send multi-touch, multi-channel campaigns, right? So as I kind of scurry through this, we include in our conversation mail, of course, text, and email. And the reason we do that is because we like to bridge the gap between online and offline strategies, right? So the magic component here, not only is it the trifecta of communication, it's also delivered through your mobile device, your desktop, or your CRM. Okay, so that gives you kind of a preview as to what we're about to get into today. On the go, at the office, it's always on with your CRM. That's Print Genie. So a little about me. If you did want to, you can scan this. I'll make it available later, but you can scan this with your phone. It brings up a digital business card of who I am, my contact information, and you can reach out to me. I'm going to leave this up only for a second. We can always find my details later, and I'm sure William will link it. So that's a little bit about me. But as I jump into it, maybe a lot of you know already who we are. Maybe you don't. To give you some understanding, Go Big Printing has been around for 20 some years. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. Why are we building Print Genie if Go Big Printing is so good? Why would I spend this time, energy, and money to do this type of thing? Well, it's because as a service provider, we realize what's missing in the marketplace. We realized we hear what people are asking all the time, right? So Go Big Printing, great solution. Jump in, order from hundreds of postcards and letters, customize it top to bottom. And I'm telling you, there's hundreds of postcards and letters. You can change the variables and everything, but there's a 50 minimum. And we have hundreds of templates you can edit, but if you wanted your own, we can do that for you, but it might take 4 or 5 days. And also that minimum of 50. If you want a campaign, you can do a campaign, but it's a little bit inconvenient to set up, but you can do it. So all these reasons are why we started to build what we call Print Genie. And it starts to, as I kind of go through this flow, you'll understand it. These are the questions that I've received for, almost 20 some years, 23 years. And what I've dummied it down to about 4 or 5 slides that summarize a lot of what we see and how we are going to better help people. And then it'll set you up to understand what Print Genie is all about and how to use it. But without the understanding of this, you wouldn't really understand what's another app that's going to do something. I want to give you the understanding of why we built it. Essentially, over the years, I'm trying to summarize that there's no elixir. An elixir, that old magic potion that people would, go traveling and sell to people about the next thing that's going to fix your cure or ailments. I'm here to say there's no elixir. There's no one-hit wonder. And I'm saying that because when people come and say, what's your best marketing piece? What's your best postcard? What's your best letter? I'm here to say there's no magic one. There's not just one that's going to work. And if it does, it's going to fall out of fashion soon, and then something else will work. And it also depends on where you're doing your mailing. If you're mailing in Southern California, your conversation might be a little bit different than if you're mailing in another state. If you're mailing in the Northeast, it's going to be a little different than the Southeast. I'm just saying. So what I'm here to say is there's no one-hit wonder. So don't ask anybody, really, what's your best postcard? What's going to be the best response? I'm here to tell you that when people start to say that kind of thing, I'd like to know more about their facts and how they're figuring that out. I'm also here to say stop chasing these shiny metal objects. I'm guilty of it too, but what we're getting at is that it's so inundated with the next gizmo. I'm here to say, even Print Genie included, don't just start moving towards everything that's pushed in front of you. Only those, those people that really understand it, use it themselves, are the best qualified to suggest something. So you should use your instinct, and that's what we're getting at. Use your instinct when you're defining what might work for you. Listen and read up about it. But I mean, I've heard it all. And this really started about, I don't know, about 6 years ago, when one of the larger coaching companies said, hey, ringless voicemail is crushing it. Direct mail is dead. And that was offensive to me as a direct mail provider. But it really led me to believe that, well, wait a second, technology is so readily available that anything can happen, right? So what I'm here to say is, don't chase those shiny metal objects. Use your instinct. Another thing that we really spend a lot of time focusing on is that we're all uniquely different. So how can we send a single type of mail message and expect it to work for each one of us, right? It really can't, right? So the idea behind sending a single postcard or a single letter or one thing, right, to a whole bunch of people that are uniquely different based on where we came from, how we think, what we've been up against, what happened to us that day. You can't just send one thing to a batch of people and then hope that it works out. I'm just saying. One of the things that we do to combat that challenge is we mix it up, right? So we don't just send a postcard. We don't just send a letter. And we don't just send a handwritten postcard, right? What we do is we mix it up. And I'll give you an example. So if you can see my, I don't know if you, can you see me, William? Maybe not. So what I'll do is, maybe I'll share with us another one in another way afterwards. But what I'm getting at is the idea behind sending a single thing to multiple people will not work. We're all uniquely different. So I might be more responsive to this handwritten postcard than I am this spammy looking letter, right? It's just who we are. It's going to land on the people that get it, and they're going to make that decision based on their history, their experiences, their synapses to fire, whether or not it's of value to them or not. So that's why we mix it up. And here's the magic. What we like to do is to mix things up. Like, for example, it might be a formal looking letter with some bullet points and then a handwritten note at the bottom. So it breaks up that spammy looking document to look like it's more personal. We put the person's first name on it. And then, of course, the yellow letters. These are just examples. But this is how we combat hitting people and getting them to respond to it. We're not just sending the same thing over and over again. Text and email, anything digital is of value, just as it is with direct mail, right? It's not just one or the other. It's the combination of all that makes for success. So we send out, postcards and letters, but what we've learned is we usually lean first with a letter or postcard, followed by a text that's not spammy, that says, hey, this is Andy. I sent you a letter. It's talking about, whatever it is, buying your house, taking it, whatever it is. I hope you got it. I'm here if you need me. And then we send an email that says, hey, this is Andy. I hope you got the letter, and it's got more information on it. Click here to learn more, get an ebook, etc. And then a couple weeks later, we'll send another letter or postcard, followed by a text and an email. That's the idea. So we're bridging the gap between online and offline strategies. What I like to do is spend just a minute here talking about a barbecue scenario. The barbecue scenario is such that if I walk into a barbecue, I can't necessarily say, hey, I'm Andy. You should buy printing from me. Nice to meet you, right? It doesn't make sense, right? So what you would do is you'd walk in and say, hey, how's it going? How do you know how do you know Jeff? Oh, he's a friend. Oh, he is cool. All right. Hey, I'm going to get a burger and salad, Jeff. Okay, see ya. I meet him about 10, 15 minutes later. I've got my hamburger, my beer, and I'm saying, hey, how's it going? What was your name again? Oh, it is. Oh, I'm Andy. Oh, you do what? Oh, that's great. Oh, you're in real estate. Cool. Oh, you know what? We have some data. We have some direct mail. You should really investigate, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you do? That conversation there is what we're doing in mail. We're trying to build that relationship in an authentic voice, right? Authentic relationship building. That's what we're trying to accomplish without sending a single letter, one letter to a bunch of people and just say, hey, buy printing from me. That doesn't work. That's spam. People see through that. You have to build relationships. And during your experience of building these relationships, your postcards, letters must, right? It must stand out, because as you look at mail going across your desk, it's like driving past a billboard at 60, right? So if it doesn't have a call to action, if it's not relevant to them, of course it's not going to land. But with technology and what we can provide with data that matches a corresponding direct mail piece, they co-align. So it makes perfect sense. So you don't have any harm in sending out our material, but just be aware if you don't, that's how fast people look at their mail. What's in your tool belt? So today, William spends a lot of time talking about sub-2 properties. It might be that he's good at that. That's his wheelhouse. That's what he's good at. He's a coach on it in this space of buying and selling properties. But that's the niche that he's really great at. That's in his tool belt. That's what he focuses on. You're not going to him to find out something more about fixing your car. You came to him because of what's in his tool belt. Hopefully you'll come to me because of my, decades of experience and what's in my tool belt. That's technology and printing and direct response marketing, things like that. Use what's in your tool belt, right? Wrap your storyline around it. And during your process, always have empathy and compassion, because at the end of the day, you are literally helping the next person that might be upside down or in trouble, and they didn't know of your services. So you're there to show them what's available if you work with you, because there's more than one way to get to, a solve or to solve the challenge of these homeowners, right? There's other ways. So have your empathy and compassion with it. And I'll kind of land on this slide and then we can chit chat, William, for a minute. The pain in the market is that most people lack a consistent or integrated content strategy. A, they don't exist, or B, they don't include all points of interest, like, oh, maybe text, email, and mail. Maybe it's just one thing, or maybe it's just digital, right? So it's very difficult to combine all these things together and make it work. There's also super big challenges online. Privacy regulations, things like, just use Facebook as an example. So Facebook is having a tough time for advertising because people like Apple have made it more difficult to expose your data. And that's what Facebook used to find and present to you ads. So that means that the compliance regulations and stuff in the digital space, texting included, is getting more difficult. And then lastly here, the rule of 7. Most people, well, half amount of all people, give up after one touch. This is where you can win, right? In it to win it. Go big or go home, right? So what we're talking about here, it's an age-old adage. It's been around for a long time. We didn't make it up. But what we're saying is that it takes at least 7 touches before someone's going to actually respond to you. So if you send that one postcard, that's less than 1% response rate. Now, that's okay if you're sending out 10,000 and 30,000. That's what you do in Go Big Printing. You upload a list or buy a list of 10,000, 30,000. You send it once or twice, and you're looking at this response rate. That can work, right? However, what we're saying here in our world of Print Genie is that send one thing, followed by another, and on your 4th touch, look at those response rates. And then you get to 10%. You can see it's doubling here. Then it gets to not quite doubled, but then it goes up quite a bit. And this is what we call the hockey stick curve. And it's very important to understand this, but it's also important for you. Don't roll your eyes if I'm looking at you. 81%. If you say, sure, I don't believe it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to pass on information that we've learned over, a lot of experience. But just understand this 81% will not happen if the data doesn't co-align with the marketing piece you're sending out. Meaning I can't just send 8 letters to a guy about buying their house when they have no interest in selling it, and it just happened to be a guy who just bought his house. It's just going to fall short. So that's why you want to be hyper focused in your marketing. You want your data to match. You want to speak the language. When your data speaks the same language as that corresponding direct mail piece or marketing piece, that's when it aligns. That's when the magic happens, right? That's when you get to 81%. We have lots of fun things to do within this platform, which is automate, right? So you can trigger from your desktop CRM an event. So when something happens, right? And this is used Zapier. When something happens, we can trigger a full campaign and a full template. So just know that within the platform, we can automate functions as well as doing them manually, right? So with that said, let's jump into it and show you a little bit more about why, Print Genie when you send multiple messages out and not just a single unattractive, ugly postcard, you get the results that you want. So is that I hope you got some of that there, William. And you want to jump into a conversation real quick, or you want me to keep going and hit the phase 2 of my experience here?
Well, Andy, it doesn't look like we have any questions yet this morning. I'm actually intrigued. When we had our last conversation, I wasn't aware that you could actually incorporate this into your CRM and trigger an event to start a mail process. So you can actually start a process with a prospect through a text or whatever, and then I guess with certain keywords or whatever, you can just start a mailing process to this person too to
Mm-hmm.
further the relationships. That's pretty awesome there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm all about automation. It's like we build the fundamentals of what the platform is to work on a manual effort to do what you want to
mhm.
do.
Right.
Then
Okay.
the phase 2 of the development is on the automation function, so that you literally don't have to do anything.
Right.
Um, and that's the point, because the fact is we're all busy.
Hmm.
I mean, this
Okay.
is what we do for a living, but people are busy, so we have to, automate it.
Right. We got a question from Brian here. Is there a native integration with Podio?
Not native, but there is a Zapier integration with Podio.
Yeah.
So you can connect it. It takes about a minute to connect, and you just plug it into Zapier, whatever Podio action you want, and then you can trigger that letter, that postcard, that text, that email, or that full campaign.
Mhm. Okay, cool. All right. And remember, Brian, as a Sub 2 Max student, you get half price on Print Genie, which is pretty amazing. So, yeah, we got a link here to share this morning, but we've got a special link for our Sub 2 Max students. So we'll share that inside the group. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, let's have them. We'll, I guess, Andy will stop periodically to answer
Sure.
those. If you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
continue on, let's move on.
You got it. Okay, so just tell me here, because I'm not looking at my screen here. Can you see? Can you see? Let's put it this way, actually. Is that okay? Right there. Can you see
Yep.
that?
We can see your phone. Yep.
Fantastic. Okay. Life is good, William. Okay. So here I am on my phone, right? So what kind of company would we be if we didn't provide to you a mobile device? So when you're out busy doing doing what you do best, right? This is how easy it is to communicate to potential whatever, right? Home sellers or whatever your business is, right? So the way it works is really simple, but very complex at the same time, as I'll kind of expose to you. So this gives you a general dashboard of what you've spent, how many postcards and letters and things like that. And they're all sitting right there so you can see it. The first action that most people do is they want to know where they're at, right? And so they want to market to a property or a home. Now, notice this little pop-up right here. I don't have to be in front of the property, but GPS will tell me exactly where I'm at. So that's just a value add. But if you want to sit at your house and market to another area, you can do that from the desktop. And soon, I don't know, maybe another 3 weeks, you can do this exact same process from your desktop if you wanted to. But here's what we're looking at right here. So here I am, right? So if I click the little satellite perspective, there's me. That's my blue dot. That's my house. That's where I'm at. Okay. So now you know a little bit more about me. Zoom back out again, and I want to walk right over to my neighbors. If I were to walk to my neighbors, that blue dot would follow, right? But clearly it didn't follow me because I'm sitting right at my desk. So once you confirm the property at hand that you're interested in, right? You click on it, you confirm it. Now this compares it against 180 million addresses within the world, right? So the US. So what we've done is we've taken the data from a large data center, and we've taken that map you just saw, and we co-aligned it with the property, and we compared it, and we found out all the information we can about that property owner. We found out that this is her owner's address. This is the property address. And it might be different sometimes, because at the end of the day, if it's an absentee owner, we don't want to mail to the renter. We want to mail to the owner. So it tells me how many bedrooms and baths, the location, the details, how big it is, what kind of property it is, the value of the property. I'm not going to get into that too much with my neighbor's house right there. How much taxes they're paying, that type of information. You can skip trace right then and there for 9 cents or 7 cents. And if you don't want to skip trace, then you don't have to. But if you did, and we don't find it, we don't charge you. If we find it, we do charge you the 9 cents or the 7 cents. With that phone and that email, you can communicate to them right then and there if you wanted to. But what's really better about that is if I click on send mail, I can take that information that I just captured and add it to a mailing list. What's really cool is I build my platform, or you build your platform, and you identify the list specifically to the type of target audience you're working with. I might have a list specifically for sub-2 properties. I might have a list for ugly properties. I might have a list for pretty properties. I might have a list for potential solar or potential roofers, right? So you define your list, you place those the contacts in the appropriate list, and then you can do something with them later. Or for the same effort, you can click send mail and take care of business right then and there. I can choose to take a photo, upload a photo, or use Google Photo. If I use Google Photo, it just applies to me all the images and postcards and letters and greeting cards, of which there's a green box. And if I click the little view button down here, it shows me that's the Google photo. Had I taken my own photo, it would have shown me that. And what we do is we define the system up into those that accept a photo that you took or upload. And then we present to you the postcards, the letters, the greeting cards, or the campaigns that include the ability to house that photo. So as you can see here, it's like, oh, that's a mini. So we have lots of different types of conversation pieces that might say something like, I'm interested in your house, call me today. Is your house available? Or I have buyers, or whatever that is, right? You understand that. If I didn't want to do it that way, if I didn't want to send a photo, I can choose no photo. And what that leads me to is hundreds and hundreds of postcards and letters and greeting cards, right? And so what's really powerful about a company like ours is we've been doing direct mail for 25 years. We have, to date, we've spent, we've built 50,000 postcards and letters or direct mail templates over the last 20 some years. They're not on here, don't worry about it, but you can see that it goes on and on and on. So what you can do is you can filter down to your favorites, distress leads or distress campaigns, greeting cards, handwritten cards, etc. So if too many is too much, just filter it down. But in the end, you look at the letter, you hit go, and you can mail that to the one person. So really, shame on me for the first time mentioning that there's no minimums in Print Genie. So here I am gathering the information, confirming the property information, and I can just hit launch, and that one letter will go to that one person. One, it's the magic number, and that's what's really taken us 4 years to do. So now I showed you, I can capture an address, I can add it to a list, I can send a mailer with or without a photo. I can also add it to a campaign, but to demonstrate that, let me go back for a second. Lots of times you're in a neighborhood and you're like, oh, I like that house, or that house is ugly, whatever it is. I'd like to buy that house. But you know what? For the effort, I'd like to buy the house next to it, because why not? You're there, right? Wouldn't you buy a house or whatever you want to do with that house next to the house if you're interested in the one? Not in every case, but in some cases, we find that due to proximity by location, life events, income, financial restraints, neighbors are similar, more than you know. So what you can do is jump in here and say, well, you know what? I'm at this house in this neighborhood, or I'm in this community, and I want to hit every house that's residential that has at least 500 square feet and anything up to 44,500 square feet. And I want to travel, to get these leads. I don't want that circumference to go anything more than 20 miles. So if you're in a rural area, it's going to take, maybe you only have a house every 2 miles, right? And you want 300 houses, right? You're putting in how far you would actually be willing to travel out to get those houses, right? I'm not going to travel 200 miles, right? You can include the target address. Maybe you just acquired a house and you don't want to remarket to that house, right? So you can then market to everybody but that house, or you do want to target them and you can just add that button. But in this case, what I've chosen to do is choose 10 nearest neighbors. And what's really convenient about the platform, it will go out and find 10 houses. It'll find out if they're owner occupied or otherwise. It's going to find out the owner's address and the property address, and then mail to the owner's address. So here I am showing you, obviously, the properties that I've just nailed based on those parameters that I set. And we have more parameters coming down the road, down the short road, actually, where you can identify houses that have, excuse me, I had to sneeze, certain types of challenges or otherwise. And we're going to add that at another time. But what I was getting at is, okay, I found 10 properties. Now I can send them a mailer, a letter, or a postcard, or I can add them to a campaign. This is the magic. So instead of sending that one postcard that I told you on slide 1 is going to be fairly useless, right? And I also told you that sending the same postcard over and over again is fairly useless. And it has to be relevant to them, right? Otherwise, it won't land. But here in this case, you can see we've created a lot of pre-created campaigns. Now, I have a lot of samples in here for my demo purposes here. But just say, for example, two-touch buying houses generic. What is that? Click on the eye and it'll tell you. It's a one letter sent first class and a first class postcard for $1.38. Right. And in order to see what it looks like, you would have already looked at it on the desktop. And I'm going to show you that next because we don't want you to spend time thinking about what you're doing on the platform. So you would have already known. I always send out and out of all the templates or campaigns, you'll probably just have about a handful of ones that you'll use. But all I have to do is click on add to campaign and it will launch that campaign to those 10 people month after month after month. And we have some people that do it like for 18 months, a year and a half. We have 4-touch campaigns, 8-touch campaigns, 2-touch campaigns, etc. So with that said, you now better understand the value of the phone when you're driving around, right? Now, you don't have to be driving. You could be sitting at your office. But what's really great is the list that you just acquired, right? Because you did a nearest neighbor or otherwise, or you did a single search. That data is now yours and it's added to your platform. And I'm going to show you that now. So, William, you want to pause for a second if we have any questions, or I can jump back into, let's go back over here.
Yeah, Andy. Yeah, we've actually got a couple of comments and questions here. Sungaze said, I like automation. Is this good for your sub-2 business? Well, Sungaze, if you like direct mail, absolutely. Like I said, I've never been a huge direct mail person. I do like to do targeted direct mail. And obviously, I mean, this is a great thing for doing that. Something and maybe you're going to get to this later, Andy, but this is a great tool to use if you like to drive for dollars. You can drive around, you can find a property, you can go ahead, zero in on it, start a mailing campaign right from their driveway. If you got an abandoned property or something like that. Gosh, some of your mailing campaigns are like less than $3, aren't they, for 5 or 6 pieces? I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah. Can you see? Oh, yeah, I got my screen up. So
yeah, we can see you. We can see you during the presentation too, by the way.
You can. Okay. So I will know not to sneeze in you. So, here's what I was talking about before. Okay. So if you look at this letter, there we go. So it's like, okay, that's a letter, right? And I like it because it's just, it's got the personalization going on right here, right? But here's what really is starting to move me. I like these types of letters because they're easy to read. It looks like someone bought stationery and just threw my name on there. But then I like this kind of thing at the bottom, and we could do that in a campaign to 1 to thousands of people. So I like that idea. And then if you get into like something like this, right, this happens to be like a bit of a probate thing. So someone made this is clear and succinct, but it's a little bit more spammy. I would have spent a little bit of effort jotting a note in there, such as this. Let me just grab one for you there. Here. So if you were to kind of get a letter that looked like I just showed you, but then there's got a handwritten note at the bottom, you're more likely to be responding to it. Like here, lease purchase, right? Okay, it looks like a flyer. Okay, someone mailed out a flyer, but they put my, they wrote a little note at the bottom, and so these types of things, I mean, even these window guys are doing it, right? So you have window guys, but the marketing effort, right? You can see as soon as you throw that little handwritten note on there, it just breaks up and becomes, oh, okay, this guy just wrote me a letter. And what's really cool, William, is that all of these things that I'm showing you kind of really quickly, they all come in, real stamps.
Right.
Handwritten envelopes. And so we're trying to make it look inconspicuous. Like, like your aunt sent you something. And so a lot of agents use it. But we have greeting cards. And when you said printing is inexpensive. So this greeting card, right? It's got you can see it's a silky matte finish. On the inside, it's handwritten. You can make any postcard or letter you want. You can make it using our own builder inside. You can write a note on the back, put QR code, picture of you. All that stuff, right? So this thing, just to give you a reference, in this envelope, full first class, is $1.60 to send to
Mhm.
one person, $1.60. So if you imagine a campaign that's like a greeting card, a letter, a postcard, might be $2.20 to send to one
Right.
person. But if you went and bought this at a grocery store, it's $5, and then you're
Right.
paying 60 cents for the first class postage. So,
Mhm.
and it is, that's because we've been printing, we're a printing company, and we can take all that savings and apply it to you.
Right.
Okay. So should we keep hitting it? You have other questions you want me
Well,
to
we've got a few other questions
Okay.
here. We can move through. Sungaze had another question. Do you guys have some for foreclosures? I know you've got pre-printed campaigns for just about every situation. You just showed one for probates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've got foreclosures, abandoned properties, distress situations. You've got them
Mm-hmm.
for pretty much everything, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
Right.
do. And I'll show
Okay.
you. I'll show you how to be the authority on a topic as well.
Okay.
Fire it up.
Uh,
Or you got more
Yeah.
questions?
Okay. Yeah. We've got a few more. And let's see. Looks like he had another question. How would you get their email? Do you have an email to send an email template? How would you get that?
Yeah. So we pre-built templates that include text, email, direct mail, and they're pre-built. So,
Hmm.
and you can edit them and make your own if you wanted to. Letters and postcards. You can make your own postcards from scratch. You can make this. You can
Right.
just drag and drop. If you ever
Right.
use Canva, we built Canva, but for direct mail. But
And-
all that stuff is pre-built and skip traced to get the phone and the email.
Okay. So you guys have built-in skip tracing right through
Yes.
your program. So you can
Yes.
do it all right through
Yes.
there, and that'll get you their email address.
Exactly.
Sungay.
Mhm.
Okay, good stuff. I just want to get them more faster and effective way, as simple as possible. Prefer not to do email, but would send out letters. And you can, even the campaigns that have the email, you can skip that and just do the direct mail. Correct?
Exactly. So we build every campaign to include text and email,
Okay.
because if your list does or does not have a phone and or an email, or only a few do or do not,
Mhm.
it's going to trigger and fire only those people that have it and charge you the couple pennies to send it to that one person if they happen to be on the list. So we don't exclude it. We always include it. But
Mhm.
if your list doesn't have it, then it just doesn't fire.
Right. Tim's got a comment. I'm getting ready to make an offer on my first house found with a Print Genie campaign. Good for you.
Oh, thank you.
There
That's
you
so
go.
cool. I
All right.
love that. Can I do a
Right.
screenshot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me
I
get
love
that
it.
up
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
All
that.
right, good for you, Tim. Let us know how that one goes. Tim just did a flip on a deal and got a big payday. So hopefully this one will work out for you too.
That's good to
Yeah.
hear. Thank you, Tim.
Did you get that?
That was fantastic.
Oh, okay. Uh, all right. So if you guys have questions, pop them in here. Andy's going to go on with the presentation. We'll come back and get the
Cool.
other ones. All right. Got
All
it.
right. Here we
All
go.
right. Let's go.
Cool. So, okay. So I spent a lot of time talking about philosophy, and I think it's really important to understand that. So, Print Genie, I showed you about how it works on the phone. I showed you that there's multiple campaigns that you can choose. We're just giving you a sample set of the, pretty documents that you can mail out, right? The idea that you can dump things from your CRM or wherever they are into a campaign. You can do that from your favorite lead source. We talked about the radius mailings, the single mailings from your phone. Let's get into it. Campaigns, right? So drag and drop campaign builder. If you don't like ours, you can make your own. But we already have tons to build or to choose from, right? And as William said earlier, they are affordable. Look, this full campaign, all sent first class, sent to one person, $2.75. So if you're going to start to think about like, well, I want to market 10 people, that's your price, right? It costs you $20 or something. So that's how you start to think about it. You can send a one-touch campaign and it'll cost you what, 50 cents for a postcard or something. But that's probably not why you're going to join Print Genie. So let's get into it. Once you get to, let's just see here, make sure you can see my screen there. Okay. So once you get into the desktop, right? Hopefully you can see this. Okay. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So once you get into the desktop, right, it'll show you just like I showed you before, but it'll show you the last active campaigns. It'll show you all the single templates that you ordered from your mobile device, from your CRM, or the campaigns that are actively running. So let's get into it and show you this is how it works. We built, like you saw, hundreds and hundreds of postcards and letters and text messages and things like that. They're all ready to go. You don't have to do anything at all, right? So here we go. They're already pre-built. What's really cool, it puts in your information. So I should show you that really quickly. Just let me jump out over here and show you. We pre-populate every template to include your phone and your email, your website, etc. And it depends on us and how we build things. We call it a super admin template. We build them specifically for industries such as investors. And we have them specifically for things for people like William that have sub two properties. But we put your profile on everything. So it automatically pulls from here. I think you understand how that works. We have an advanced profile. We can pull an additional bunch of custom fields, teams and all that kind of stuff. If you work with a team and you have qualifications and disclaimers, all that stuff can be applied, and photos and logos. So you can see my photo. I have 2x2s, 2x3s. I have corporate and personal logos. All these are available to use. And this right here happens to be that I have an ebook, or I send out an ebook to people that fall into foreclosure. And this is where the magic happens, right? So let me pause this and jump back here to mail templates and say this. All of these templates readily available at your fingertips. Pre-populate with your profile. Click on any one of them to read more. If you want to order it, simply click on order. Add one contact, right? Add the name right here and mail that letter, just like I did on the desktop. Or if you don't know the full address because you're driving too fast through a neighborhood and you only got the street, just type in the street. We'll know the city, the state, the zip code, and the owner. We'll know if he's absentee or not. This is his information. You now own it. And I'm going to hit OK and mail that one guy, that one letter for, this one is what, 81 cents, right? First class letter going to this one guy from the desktop, right? Like that. Now, you might have acquisitions people. This happens a lot, right? And they get off the phone with someone. They want to send a letter or campaign, right? You can also send well, this is another example. So lots of times people will come in with a probate list of like 12 leads. What do you do with 12 leads? Well, you can jump in here and find your list. There's a list of 3, hit OK, and I can mail that letter to those 3 people for $2.50, right? So it depends on you, but there's no minimums, which is magical. So if I take all of these assets, combine them together into a campaign, right? That's where it all gets golden. We build a lot of campaigns, and don't let all of our campaigns overwhelm you. You're going to find the one that you will use more often than not and use it. Maybe you'll use a couple of them, but we give you plenty because we've done this for 20 some years. But look at them, right? Buying houses generic, creative financing, driving for dollars, foreclosure, 3-touch, HampLoad, sub-2, evictions, probates with ebook, 5-touch probates, subject to 3-touch. Okay, so what do these mean? That's the title. If you mouse over the question mark, it shows you, like I did on the desktop, what it is. 2 letters, 2 minis, 4 texts, 4 emails. It lasts for, I should show you. It costs $2.60 to $3. Answering his question to the text and the email, if your list doesn't include it, then you will be spending about, $2.60 up to $3 because you might have 2 people that have a phone, right? So it'll go from $2.60 to $2.62 or whatever it is. But now that you understand how it works and what it's good for, you can read all about it. You're like, well, what's it look like, Andy? Click on it. This is the letter that goes out the second you add a name to your campaign. It's a direct mail piece, and it looks like this. This is a creative financing campaign. So it's not specifically about one thing or another. It's different ways that you can help a homeowner other than a single way, which is just like, I bought your house. Well, wait a second. I don't want to sell my house. Well, let's talk about it. Here's different ways we can communicate. So what we do is we give you that letter automatically. We follow up about 10 days later with a text message that looks like this. And then we follow up another day later with an email that looks like this. We follow up 3 weeks later with another postcard. And we follow up afterwards with another text, another email. We wait another 3 weeks, right? So this is what a 6-touch campaign or 8-touch. This is another letter, a little bit handwritten, a little bit graphic, fills in your information all the way down the line. I hit next step. I choose the list. And once again, no minimums. So I can choose, here's a list of 8. Here's a list of 3. Maybe I got these leads somewhere. I don't know. I can view my profile to make sure my name is spelled right and all that stuff has been set up correctly. I hit next step. And now it's told me that out of those 2 lists or 3 lists I chose, of those 11 people that it combined together, only 2 have an email and 2 have a text. So I'm not sending it to those other people, obviously. I'm sending out 2 mini postcards to 11 people, 2 letters to 11 people, and 4 texts and 4 emails to those people for $30. So if you do the math backwards, right? So you're about $2.60 each. That's what it is. So what's really cool about it is this. So if I jump back over here to active campaigns, Once you start a campaign, it's I call it's perpetual, meaning once you start a campaign, you can always add new names to that campaign. But what you're really doing is you're adding a name to a list that's on a campaign. Here's what I'm talking about. Right here, it says Print Genie samples for summer. If I jump, well, I think you can see this, but if I jump to my homepage of Print Genie, it says send me a sample campaign. If I click send me a sample campaign, it gives you two forms of which I'm offering you a sample. What's interesting is that this form I embedded into this website from MailChimp, right? I happen to use MailChimp for email blasting. We're not an email blasting service, so we use MailChimp. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, here's a sample that I put a form on it from MailChimp. When someone fills out this form, right, you're added to this list that's assigned to this campaign. So if I click on this list, you can see 49 people were on this list since, whenever I got it. And there's 36 people still in the pipeline. And if I click on it, it shows me, looks like on this day, oh, my hometown, someone filled out the form and now they're on the portion of getting a text. Whereas these people filled out it a couple of days ago, and now they're getting my, my pretty greeting card, right? So you can see that what I can do is, well, as what you saw, as new people add their name to that form, they're added to a list and they're started at the beginning of the campaign. So that campaign, once I've activated it, it just runs and runs and runs. So I really call it feeding the beast. So what you might do is this. Let me paint a picture for you, and then you'll better understand it. Here I am. If I jump right here, right. Well, actually, before I do that, this form that you filled out, right? You can embed a form anywhere. You might have a Carrot website, embed a form, right? It doesn't matter. You can use the forms on Carrot to trigger campaigns on Print Genie. You can use your Podio to zap campaigns through Print Genie. But here's where it gets really kind of magical, right? So if you look here, solutions, probate lead magnet, foreclosure lead magnet. Let me just click on that one. Foreclosure lead magnet. Now these are extra, but this was created by a service that's now really grown a big business, serving those people that want more out of their Print Genie business. They built an ebook that's 20 pages. What's really cool is we build a campaign that's foreclosure based. We have it for probates. We have it for basic home sellers. We're adding more ebooks all the time. But what it's really cool is this campaign pre-built for foreclosures will go to people where we know, because we got data that was on foreclosure. So what's going to happen is this letter goes out with the cover of your ebook there and a QR code. So as you're mailing this out and as people are receiving it, when they scan the QR code, right? Maybe the QR code takes them back to a website like I just showed you where there's a form. They fill out the form, they get the ebook. Now you've got a hot lead. But furthermore, you can follow up with a letter of intent, or you can follow up with a letter saying, thank you for visiting, or here's how I can help you. So not just the first campaign that goes out, but when they scan that QR code and they fill out their information, you can follow up with a hot lead campaign. And that hot lead campaign can be something to the fact of, I've noticed you must have an interest in your blah, blah, blah. And then maybe it's a text. Maybe it's only an email. Maybe it's a text that says learn more and it takes them to another page, right? Those are options that we can develop and we can actually do with William. But so if you kind of get the picture here, we're doing this outbound conversation that's inclusive of an ebook that makes me look like the authority or the topic of foreclosures. Right. And so you are, you look like the guy who knows what you're talking about. You're hitting him multiple times. You don't have any minimums, right? Excuse me. We also have probate ebooks as well, right? So if you're selling probate, then you can send out a campaign like this. And once again, we have campaigns that's different, but pre-built for probates. So what we could do as far as, maybe in William's circle here, if your topic of choice is sub-2 properties, this type of application can be applied, right? And William and I can put together something if that becomes something of interest, right? But that gives you kind of a great perspective to understand, okay, I get it. So let's imagine that you are out and you get leads from some place, right? You can come in here, go to contacts and upload your own contacts. It doesn't matter. Once they are entered in here and they go through the process, we do a validation process to confirm that the house is a deliverable house. And we do that. We compare it against USPS. We do national change of address listing. So in case someone changed their address, we update it. These types of things like cash certification, mail delivery there's nothing more you can possibly do to get mail there. But when you upload your list, wherever you get it, if it fails, it shows up here and it says, hey, this contact out of all these people failed. You can download it and do something else with it, like skip trace it. But right now, we're not going to allow you to mail it because it's not going to get there. So lots of people will say, oh, pay $20 a month and get a list of all the bad names that can't be mailed, and we're saving you money. I'm like, why would you do that? We do it automatically, and it's called delivery point validation. We're ensuring that it's an accurate and deliverable address. But anyway, back to campaigns, feeding the beast, perpetual, right? So what I get at is I have these setup campaigns. And if you have a Podio account, that when someone makes a phone call and they go into your Podio account because you have CallRail and they fill out a form or whatever, they become a hot lead, boom, they're getting a one type of campaign. Or if you're driving around and you have a specific campaign, or you chose one of our campaigns that's like for ugly houses, you would fire that off if you're on the road. If you have a CRM, you're driving leads automatically. If you have your mobile app and you're finding ugly houses, you can do that. Or if you're getting leads through William or other places, you can upload the list. So there's lots of ways to feed the beast, right? So you can feed this beast from your CRM, from your desktop, and manually. You can just jump in here, and here's my big long list, and I can just click add new recipient, and it's going to add that person to this list that's already on that campaign and start that guy from the beginning. Let me just tease him if you can't. William, can I get another 30 seconds here?
Sure.
If I jump here, I will show you. You don't have to make your own postcards and letters because we have plenty. And William's doing a nice job actually by offering you a large discount to sign up for Print Genie. It's already it's already discounted. It's already very inexpensive anyway. Mm-hmm. But what happens is here, if you decide, well, I like what's going on here. I like your postcards and letters, but I want to make my own. So click on Create Mailer and make your own postcard, letter, or greeting card, or otherwise. Include a street view if you wanted to. Add it to a category, give it a name, call it something, right? You can do that. You can make and create your own stuff. A lot of people will say, oh, okay, I really loved this postcard, but I don't want to make a new one from scratch. I like yours. So they'll click on this, they'll click duplicate. I'll just call it test Andrew for right now. Now I have created, I didn't have to create from scratch a postcard. I duplicated one. So I go searching it and I type in test, and I'll find that postcard or letter. Here it is, test whatever demo or test Andrew. I did this before. Test Andy, same thing. So I click on the pencil. I click on continue. And now we're opening up our design tool. So you might be not interested at all in making your own stuff. You might be very interested. It's always going to be up to you, as we're all different. But here's the backside. So simply grab it, change the color. If you don't like what it says, just rewrite it. Click on here, click in here and say, whatever you want to do. You can type in here just like this. I'd love to buy your house at, right? And we put in property street, but you can do things like this. You can put in your own variables, right? You can put in the property. Maybe you're just buying houses in a certain city, or maybe you're buying houses in a certain state, right? Or you want the actual property address, right? So you can type that in right there, PROP, and there it is, property street. I like to buy your house at property street. That's how that works. Pretty simple. Zoom in on the other side. You've got your own library. You can upload images and use your own stuff. Like here, I uploaded a QR code I use a lot, so I'll stick that right there. I can go to resources and type in and search from millions of images. I can jump into shapes and start making things from scratch, as I did with this postcard. Change the color on my, my different. You can see here what I'm doing here. I think we're all aware of what can happen with how cool these things are. Okay, bad choice on that one. It's really ugly. And then you have drawing tools and doodles to play with. Once you make your own postcard or letter, it's instantly available. So remember back on slide 3, I talked about we can build stuff on GoBig, but it might take 4 or 5 days. Here, you can just take ours, duplicate it, and make your own. And there you go. So there you go. And once you have your postcard, it's readily available, and you can just jump back to the marketplace, because if you're in the design studio, you're building stuff, right? You're making stuff. If you're in the marketplace, is where you order stuff. But that gives you a full range of, of how Print Genie works at a very baseline level. We didn't even talk about dynamically pulling data from a data center, Whereas if a data set changes, such as someone falls into foreclosure, we can send a campaign based on your data. And then William, I'll reserve that for a deeper conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm game with anything. I'm here to
Mhm.
share. So
Okay.
whatever I can do.
Awesome. Got a couple of comments here. Sungay said, so we can skip trace too if the address failed. And you guys have a skip trace tool right
I
inside.
forgot to show you. Yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Brian said, do you have postcards where you can have a photo of the house on it? I guess Brian missed that part of the presentation, but you can take your own photo with Print Genie's phone app, and you can also pull in the Google's photo of the house from Google Maps. Okay.
And upload your own.
Yeah. Okay. Kelly said, sounds like a CRM, and you can customize it for anything from real estate, selling clothes, just about anything. You can do direct mail to any niche with Print Genie, not just
That's exactly right.
investors.
I would say one thing that I've made a conscious effort to consider. There's a ton of great CRMs. We're not really a CRM as much as a deployment mechanism, right? So you can upload lists, but we are adding things like doubling down on this thing because it's been really pretty successful. But as far as a CRM, a lot of people will use their Salesforce or Podia as that CRM or that proper CRM. They're teasing, inside of Print Genie. Yes, you can see people, but you're not tracking their journey of they're hot, they're not, they're buying, they're in, we're not doing that. That's where you use your own CRM, right?
Right.
So,
okay.
Just to clarify.
Awesome tool and program, Andy. You guys can go to the link. We've got a link here scrolling across the bottom, sub2directmail.com. You can sign up for Print Genie, give it a try, use it. Check out all the features. And of course, Andy's been super available to answer questions and very responsive by email. You can talk to him on Facebook. So yeah, you guys go check it out. Andy, we appreciate the heck out of you being here today. And
I love it.
showcasing your product. We really appreciate you. So, okay, awesome. So we'll have you back again to talk about some of the more advanced features.
Okay.
Another time. That's cool.
Love it. Yeah, all right. I love it. Dynamic automation. That's where it's at.
All right, guy. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate you. All right. Okay, guys, that is it for this episode of Goat Talk. You guys check out Print Genie, Andy Detwiler, great guy out there in California, sub2directmail.com. It's a great program, and if you're going to do direct mail, I don't think you'll find a better price on any mailing pieces than you'll find there. So, guys, subscribe to us on YouTube. We appreciate you showing up today, and we'll see you next Thursday.